Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, with my Wednesday co-host, Jonathan. How you doing today, Jonathan?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Did
Yeah.
you shed any tears in this episode?
You know what? I was waiting for you to ask me what my thoughts were, and I was going to say it's an emotional episode. There were some highs for me that was like, yeah, and then there were like devastation and sadness and if I had a soul, maybe some tears, but
No tears. You're dry. You're putting in the drops to make it look like you care about these
well,
people a
I mean,
little bit.
yeah. But no, yeah, there was definitely emotional episode.
So, okay, it's really hard for me to be objective when seeing this episode, is because I've been watching the feeds this last week since Tiffany won the head of household, and it's been really infuriating. They didn't paint it at all what the house was like. Xavier has not stopped complaining since the moment that she won that veto. Like, it's all day, every day, complaining.
One one
Correct?
HOH?
Correct. So since
Yeah.
last Thursday,
Yeah.
he's
I
been
mean,
complaining.
I don't blame him. I'm like, she put herself in a situation which she shouldn't have done. And I was like,
But
what are you doing?
one thing they also didn't show was that it wasn't a unanimous decision. They kind of showed like Ozza being like, "Yeah, I can't believe she did that," but that's actually not what went down. It was basically Tiffany, Hannah, and Ozza. They wanted Claire to stay, and then the three guys they wanted Alyssa to stay, and so Xavier just believes that anything that he says that he wants should be the way that it goes. And they never really agreed that that's what they wanted to happen. They were saying like, well, yeah, Tiffany, that would be the best for you not to do it, so you wouldn't have to be put in the position to put up Claire.
Well,
And go ahead.
wasn't the original agreement always to sit next to your, I mean, I've seen this a few times. The original
Yeah,
agreement is like sit next to your person. So
exactly.
whether someone's speaking of an agreement from before and others are saying, well, this is like, it doesn't matter to us or whatever the case may be now, for me, it's like whatever that original agreement was. And if, and you have I mean, I'm with Xavier regardless of who you want to stay or whatever, things needed to be done. And you made that original agreement, and it's been talked about a lot that you need to sit next to your person. So
Fine, but it's not saying that she wouldn't be sitting next to her person next week. And so the fact that they're kind of painting this episode as if Tiffany completely went rogue and went against like the entire plan, and like no matter what, it was supposed to be Claire. If Claire or if it was supposed to be Alyssa, and if whoever didn't go would be going the next week, and you would be sitting beside your person. And so yes, maybe Tiffany taking the risk of the fact that if she could be doing this next week and just sit beside her person, that's the risk that she was going to take. But no matter what, she knew that it was going to be one or the other this week or the next week, and she was risking the fact that she would be put in the position to have to put Claire up, which is something that they didn't think that she would put herself in the position to do. And that's the position that Xavier didn't want to put himself in. And that's why he through the veto, because he didn't, or through the head of household, because he didn't want to be put in the position where he would have to nominate Alyssa if there was any sort of renomination or something like that. So, I know you're saying that you're a fan of Xavier, but I've actually gone from really liking him to I've never disliked anybody more than I dislike him at this point
no, I
in a
don't.
reality show.
So, oh my goodness, so
Yeah.
strong. You're in your
No,
emotions.
like I was like
But
enraged by him. Like
I,
it's
I,
infuriating.
no, I don't see it. I don't see someone who's pushing just there. And again, yes, I'm not on the live feeds, but it's like from what I see, even in his interactions that are live interactions with others, I don't see the way he's speaking as being like, him forcing any sort of thing, whether or not, that's what the live feeds are making it seem like.
It's not making it seem like he's literally
Well, I
bashing
mean,
Tiffany
everything's
the
subjective. So
whole time.
I would bash Tiffany too. I think she's played such a horrible game the last couple weeks that has really kind of almost overshadowed for me what she has done in the beginning several weeks, because it was just like it was just so much better of a
She's
game.
made some mistakes, but the way that he speaks about him and Derek F, like they're both repulse me. Like I can't even. Well,
See,
I
but
can't even watch them on this show. Like on the show, I'm just like, oh, I have to watch it now. Like I don't want any of the men to win at all. Like I think that they've been deplorable, to be fair.
Tiffany lost me when she was flat out bullying Sarah Beth and making those comments behind her back, and that was going on and on and on. And this was a live feed clip that I saw that was 3 minutes long, and Derek F and Aja was telling her to like trying to change the subject and back down and stuff. So she lost me with that kind of stuff. And I mean, you know, we're also watching people who are in a very, you know, emotional state. There's a lot at risk. There's a lot of money, a lot of beyond just that. So there's a lot of emotions going on, and you know, I don't fault, and you can't escape anywhere and just have your own thoughts out loud or whatever. So I don't fault anyone for, like, you know, having an off day or two. It's more of prolonged behavior. But anyway, from the show that I'm watching, the edited version on TV, there was some just desserts in this episode from what
like it's fine that she had to eat her words. She was trying to save Claire selfishly for you know, she didn't want her to go home yet. Fine. But like, even if like they didn't show this obviously, but after she just was like to Derek F, she's like, I know you guys are happy now that this happened. And Derek F was like, no, of course we wouldn't be happy. Like whatever. And like just like totally being like, you know, that's not the case. And then after dragging her for like 2 hours after, and it was just like, it's just really gross, in my opinion, how nasty that they get behind her back. And then to her face, they're just like, oh, you know, of course, like we don't want you to be in this position. This is terrible. Of course, like it's just, it's honestly been very uncomfortable to watch. It seems like they're women haters to me. Like they right now they don't want any of the women to make it any further. They actually also don't care about the cookout mission. So they want to keep they're going to all throw the head of household to Alyssa. It's just like all of it is just really, really gross. And I find that what he was doing with Tiffany, with kind of like, this is Xavier being like, oh, you know, we have her handcuffed here. When Tiffany was never, ever not going to go against the cookout, but Xavier being like, well, I'm going to put her on the block and like, or pull her off the blocks to force her hand and make her do it. So she loses or she doesn't lose, which is like,
we saw that. And but I love that as a viewer. I'm like
over and over and over again. Like it was just, it's very uncomfortable to watch on the live feeds. This episode doesn't do it any justice other than just to refuel my fury.
Yeah, well, I feel it. But watching the show, for me, I was like, oh, I hope you do it. And he was talking about it a lot. So I'm like, you're not going to do it. But I was like, I hope that's what happens.
I wanted that to happen, to be honest.
And with Derek sitting, because I wanted stuff to blow up. Like with Derek sitting there and Derek being like in the diary room, he was like, I want, you know, I want something messy, some sloppy, some craziness. And I'm like, me too, Derek, me too. But he was right in saying that, you know, it would potentially affect his game because he could be put up and he can go home. So I could definitely appreciate when he was talking about that. But I was all for it. I'm like, let's get messy. Let's dirty things up.
So I don't actually want anybody to be dragged, actually. But like, if it's dragged in the sense like me being furious with his actions in the game, then I can support that. But Twitter is dragging Xavier, and I'm not surprised. Like really, if you like, I can't even take him seriously. I've really never wanted somebody out of the game as much as I want Xavier to be done. It's been very. Ugh.
So let's assume that the final 6 make the cookout.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Alyssa's going to win next week and take out Tiffany, or on Thursday.
Let's say it happens. What is your ranking, like a quick ranking of who you want to win out of the cookout?
I'm 100% Tiffany, then Hannah, then Kyland or Ozza, and then Derek F, then Xavier.
Wow, Xavier's under Derek F for you.
Like
Wow.
even there was a ranking for Robin's podcast. Taryn does like a ranking of where the house guests place every week, and this week Xavier is second to last. Derek F is still at the bottom, but he's second to last now, and he fell from being third. I think it was third or fourth. So he's just been like this week. It's like I guess watching him all day every day. It's just infuriating. Just seeing him here for 43 minutes like is nothing. It like having to watch him all day. Just like it just was bad. It's been very very bad. So you know, I understand though people being frustrated for the fact that he doesn't want to put his person up either. He doesn't want to sit up on the block. I can't take his rationale anymore, being like it's going to be my third time. It's like the first time was by chance because Alyssa rolled it on the roulette wheel, so that was an unlucky play. And then you chose to put yourself up on the third time to win the veto. So you didn't need to go up the second time at all because you would have been taken down no matter what. So I can't even hear him complain. Also, this is my third time I'm going to be going on the block. It's like, well, it really should have only been, it's only been your first time nominated, to be honest, Xavier.
Sure.
But what else happened this episode other than my rage just bubbling underneath the surface? One thing I did love was the album that was created. Did you like all the greatest hits, the BB music album?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I grew up, late 80s, early 90s, and well, all of the 90s really too. But that was such a thing where you would be like have those listed, infomercial kind of 60-second commercials where they would list all those albums and greatest hits kind of a thing, which was cute. I mean, the thing is they can't actually, sing real songs, right? So they have to kind of make up their own, and that's where it originates from, which they didn't do a good job explaining. And like, I guess the super casual viewer would be like, why don't they sing proper songs maybe? But Rylan, come here, please. You're being loud. And so it's I liked it.
I loved it. I loved it. I was like smiling the whole time. It took me away from my anger. And you know that I love things like that. Like you grew up with infomercials. Love the late night infomercial. I don't know if you watch ever MTV in Canada, but late night, it's not the same infomercials, but they have those type of commercials on when I'm watching like Geordie Shore at 2 a.m. It's just going to be like, call 1-800 for some like, I don't know, something to fix a leak in your sink. But yeah, I love that they took something that they did in the house and made it into a segment. I was appreciative of that. But
and I also sing all the time at home, so I feel like I would be doing that too. They would be like, they'd become Jonathan, please do not sing.
Yeah, I'd be like, stop singing.
You'd be like, flip out like actual songs. Yeah. Definitely.
So Alyssa asked Derek F that if she could choose him if she gets house guest choice, and he does say yes, but he says that he doesn't want to actually use the veto just because he's not sure what Tiffany will do. And this is another thing that they were painting. Like Tiffany the whole time is always, she's the one that created the cookout, even though Derek F is taking credit for it, saying that he brought everybody together, he named it, he made the plan, like he's taking all credit for it. And also those guys have said like none of the women have done anything this entire season for the cookout, for their game, and they don't deserve to be here. That's another thing that's been getting me irritated is like the bravado and egotism of these men being like, they haven't done anything, they don't deserve to be here, like they deserve to go out at 6, 5, and 4. And I was like, like you don't even know what was going on. Xavier,
are they basing that off of like because the HOH wins and whatnot, or and having that kind of control is what they're basing it off of, or who knows?
I don't know what they're basing it off of because it's not fact. But they're just all they ever say is that like, oh, they don't deserve to be here. They're like, well, they haven't done anything. And even Azza, they didn't show this on the episode. I don't think they'll show it tomorrow. But Azza asked Xavier if he thought that she hasn't done anything. And I would say out of all the women, Azza hasn't done as much, but there has been times where she's convinced people to not do things or say things that would have been terrible for their game. Like, Derek F at one point wanted to blow up the cookout, and Azza was able to calm him down, make him not want to do that, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, there's slight ways that Azza has been supportive of the cookout. And she asked Xavier, and Xavier basically told her like, yeah, no, you haven't really done anything.
I mean, there's a few people that I would say that are floaters if this was like a normal season, and
Mhm.
I would definitely say Ozza's one of them, as well as like Claire and Derek F is probably who I would label as the three who least contributed to pretty much anything, I think, overall. So I get
But
that.
Derek thinks he's contributed the most. Oh boy, that
I
guy.
mean,
So
delusions are
obviously,
real in the Big Brother house.
yeah, delusions of grandeur. So obviously, we talked a little bit about it before, but Xavier and Derek F are bitching about Tiffany throwing the competition, and then he's considering just to become vindictive, which is fine. I don't mind this villain, like, edit and this, evolution of him becoming the villain. I thought that was interesting, but how they presented it made it seem like, ooh, like I want to get behind the storyline, but seeing it in the actuality of it was very off-putting, and like I just not a fan of him anymore. I don't even think he's good looking anymore because like I'm so mad at him. It's not good. The evil side of him is coming out, and it's like, it was always there, and I can't hear him ever again say that he's thrown all these competitions. Like that's his contribution, is that he's thrown all these competitions so that he didn't have to make a decision. So I'm just
I
like,
remember day one. I remember saying in the picks that we did, I was like, I feel like there is some underlying like arrogance, but I mean, I haven't really seen it from just watching him on TV. I still like him, but I mean, I haven't seen the live feeds. But yeah.
BB, like I have, it doesn't happen often where I have like anger in my stomach. You know what I mean? When I'm talking about a show, like I'm like heated.
Oh,
People like
Chantel's on fire. She's heated. She's like,
you should have
she's
seen me on
coming for
Sunday
you.
though, Jonathan. I was really bad
Xavier,
on Sunday.
coming for you.
I was like enraged, like worse than I am today.
If he was a guest on the show,
I would fake it.
would you? No, I think you would. You would get to he would say something, and you'd just be like,
No, I would probably be like a little more curt and just be kind of like this kind of attitude, like, you know what I mean? I'd be kind of like sharp. Right. But yeah, like honestly, BB, because the fact that he thinks that he has a really good perspective on the game, and he's definitely in one of the better spots, especially having Alyssa be the seventh person. And so if she is the person to win, he will probably win the game. And so like, yes, like he is in a great position to win the game, but how he's getting there, I don't appreciate it, because Tiffany did throw away her entire game for the cookout. And I know that they don't see this from her. They just see her being some sort of selfish player. But literally, she did have a choice like a month ago where she could either have rode strong with Derek F and Claire, or if she was going to go and be 100% with the cookout. And she decided to be part of the cause. Xavier would have been gone a long time ago if he didn't have the safety and security of the cookout. He hasn't been playing that great of a game if it was in a normal game standards where they didn't have the support of 5 people that would never, ever vote him out, no matter what he said or what he did. And so I just like, that's what frustrates me, is that he thinks that he's just such an amazing player, but it's because the cookout stayed so strong that he's able to take advantage of the position that he's in right now, which is fine. Everybody would want to be in that position, but I just don't feel great about his game. I don't feel like he's actually done that much in this game other than complain. So that's why Derek F, he sucks too, but like, I just don't like Xavier more. I just don't. The BB song infomercial with Derek F was funny. Yes, I agree. It was funny. We also have, so BB's here, Cameron's here. Doesn't like Sarah Beth, apparently. Uh-oh. Cameron says, out of all the evicted house guests, who do we miss the most? For me, it's either Frenchie or Brittany. Cameron, I don't know if I agree with that opinion there, unfortunately. Evicted, I think Christian. I think I miss Christian the most.
Yeah, Christian is part of my drafts, but yeah, I mean, there was this lightness to him. I mean, he didn't bother me at all. Who else went out? Yeah, probably Christian. Yeah.
Everybody else, like, I'm fine with them going. Whitney, meh. Brent, meh. Frenchie, meh.
Like Frenchie, I wanted to see go. Brent, I wanted to see go. The other ones were like whatever. And then Christian, is probably one of the only
Derek F. I would love to see Derek F. still there. I do think that he went out too early.
Yeah, well, and I was saying this to you last week or offline.
Yeah, I think we were saying that because we're saying that he's like the type of person that would be like the last juror, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Miss them for sure. What was I gonna say here? Infomercial. Okay, they pick the players for the veto, and this is a terrible pick for poor Tiffany. So she decides she gets player's choice. She chooses Hannah. Xavier chooses Derek F. Alyssa chooses Azza. And I wonder if Tiffany's kicking herself for not choosing Claire here. Because I don't know if Claire would have been able to win it because she is quite tall, as we learned. But
and lanky and just kind of all over the place. But at the same time, if something goes down where Alyssa wins the veto,
at least
you would have at least given Claire the opportunity to have saved herself if needed. So I mean, I would have felt that I would have needed to have done that, and that's for me a big tick against Tiffany starting off in this episode for me, because I was like, that's not fair to your number one. You need to give them the opportunity, knowing that they might be an option to go.
I think Tiffany was presenting it to herself was that Hannah is a better competitor. And so she was trying to, I think all of this, she was trying to save Claire, and really she just damaged her own game and kicked Claire out of the game. And so, because like Claire would have been gone this week for sure if she hadn't have won and tried to save her for a week. And so,
yeah,
I think that Hannah is a better competitor, and they didn't know what type of competition it was going to be.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if it's something that whatever, Claire's strength is, you could have had that conversation with her. You could have said, I need you to win this, because if she wins this and she wins HOH next week, then guess what?
Tiffany, very good for Tiffany.
You have your person. I mean, I absolutely would have. I thought that was such a missed opportunity not selecting her when you were given house guest choice. That's a bad move.
That honestly, I didn't know that she got house guest choice and she didn't choose Claire. Like I was shocked by that because I didn't see that on the feeds or hear about it.
Yeah, brutal. You could have, the likelihood. I mean, it's a 1 in 6 chance, but it's a 1 in 6 chance of it being an amazing play for your game and for hers as well. And so I would have taken those odds over the fact that hopefully Hannah's just a better player.
I'm wondering if she's also trying to hide a little bit from the wrath of the Cookout men. Because they're saying like she can't say this. Like, if you saw what the plans that they were trying to come up with, like for her to say, like for hours they're trying to come up with these really ridiculous plans of like, oh, we'll say that like this happened and then this happened, but you can't say this happened or you can't say this happened. And all of us in the audience are just like, tell her the truth. Just tell her the truth. True. Tell Alyssa the truth. It's their final 8. If Alyssa wins it, and it's fine. Like that's the risk that you're going to take. It's going to be 6 against 1 next week.
I'm surprised they didn't at this point, because the whole thing is that Xavier was really the one being like, no, because it's going to expose me to Alyssa. And I'm like, okay, but then all the other members of the Cookout, you could be like, does this affect you in any way if the Cookout is known? No, it doesn't. That was just
what Xavier says goes, basically.
That was just like the one thing. So I would have absolutely fought for that as well, to tell everyone at this point after the veto was played, to say, look, this is what we're in. This is why I can't do it, because I mean, we haven't talked about it yet, but skip ahead for a brief moment. When Tiffany was sitting there talking to Claire and saying what she was saying to her, she was like, I'm going to be as truthful to you as possible as I possibly can. I've always tried to be. And then almost like the next question, whether it was an edit or not, I don't really know, was, are you in an alliance with them? And she said, no. And I'm like, okay, and you still have her, but the moment she gets to jury with a couple more people, and then
Tiffany's probably following her in the double, so it's going to be fine. Tiffany's following her in the double. Tiffany, like they didn't show this in that edited version. I'll send you the full length of like that conversation. But she basically knows that she can't. She's really has not very many outs for next week. She can't play obviously for head of household. It's going to be a double eviction. They're all the cookout men are throwing it to Alyssa so they can take out Tiffany. So the only people playing for potentially Tiffany would be Azah and Hannah. And hopefully this sticks. Like Alyssa would be putting up Kyland and Tiffany, and she would prefer Kyland to go. I just don't know if and if it would be 2-2, she would break the tie and Kyland would go, but Xavier might get in her ear and say take out Tiffany. So basically Tiffany has to win the veto, or Hannah and or Azah have to win, or Tiffany's done. So she has said, she's like, I'm sorry, I'm probably gonna be following you out the door. Like
that can happen too. Look who won this. I mean, we haven't talked about it, but look who won the veto in this episode. You know, it can happen when you need it the most. So you never know.
I mean, that's the best times when it happens. Okay, but let's get to the video. Before the veto, we got Zingbot. Did you enjoy Zingbot?
No.
He wasn't funny today.
No, it was awful. I'm like, I was coming up with, listen, guys, I'm not funny, but I was coming up with jokes in my head that were like 1,000 times better than paid unionized writers that come up with these jokes for this show. And I was like, you're not even hitting on, I mean, here's the whole thing about Zingbot. He says things, they, I don't know, says things that are like unsaid and that we as the audience all know. Yeah, there's certain things that you can't say without giving away certain games. But I mean, you could have talked about Derek F's, like the fact that he sleeps all the time and does nothing. You made like a bathroom reference to him leaving, stain or a mark on the game. I was like, what? You just said that Tiffany was old. I mean, Tiffany's not even that old. But it was just kind of like, what? I'm like, it just wasn't what the audience was thinking, which is when it makes it really funny. And I was like, well, maybe they don't have much material. But then I was thinking about stuff, and I was like, no, I was coming up with, in the moment.
I don't know why they didn't consider like Derek F, like how people call him Daybed, like in that ballpark would have been. I would think maybe, is that too mean? I don't know.
No, every time they show him, he's laying down half asleep. It's like, so they could have really amped that up a little bit, and especially knowing that you're going to, they plan ahead of time. So like, hey, Zingbot's this week. Who are we going to say about all the people? No one had the best zing, and no one did. It was just not good, I didn't think.
And yeah, they weren't good. I guess the best zing. What did I laugh at?
The best one was maybe Alyssa being called dumb and her not getting it.
That's pretty like epic. She's like, I don't know, I don't get it. And after on the feed, she's just kind of going on and on about like, she's like, well, I don't really get like stand-up comedy. Like, I don't really get jokes. Like, I don't get it.
But they haven't edited her, in my opinion anyway. I don't think of her as dumb. They edit her as this woman who has her own business.
Well, I'll tell you something that's happened.
And she may be, but I haven't really seen that. And I don't feel like that's been in the edit. And I feel like they could have edited things the last couple weeks, kind of setting up for this to show what they were going to probably, make fun of. But I don't know, just totally missed the mark. I thought this was the crappiest one so far.
Yeah, so what they said about Alyssa was, they were like, oh, you're from the Sunshine State, too bad you're so dim, or something like that. Zing. And everybody's laughing, and she's like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. And then he clarifies, it's like, just in case you didn't understand what I was saying, I meant that you're dumb. Zing, zing-a-ding-zing. So that was funny, though, that she didn't get it. Yeah, to be clear, I'm calling you dumb. That was something new, though, that he was doing, though. So the zing, 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 like he was doing a different like zing pattern. So I was like, okay, maybe it's a new person inside there.
Maybe. I was just like thoroughly disappointed, and it just went downhill. And with the zing bots, so I was like, okay.
So to loosely just to recap what the zings were, they talked about Xavier like being really vain and like always looking at his body in the mirror. So just talked about him being kind of narcissistic, I guess. Tiffany being old. The funny part was Tiffany giving Zingbot the finger, double fingers, like double middle fingers is kind of funny. Hannah was like, knock, knock, who's there? Hannah, who? And he's like, exactly, like basically insinuating that Hannah is kind of invisible. Yeah. Actually, Kylan's was pretty good. If you watch the feeds, you would be feeling.
I don't remember Kylan's. How good was it? What was
Kylan's was he basically said, "Shut the fuck up." He's like, "You're like a babbling brook. When you talk, you go babbling on and on and on. Shut the fuck up, Kylan." I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that seemed more true to form. I mean, again, my complaint was I don't see a lot of that. So I feel like they should have edited that more so you could see some of that and appreciate it more. Hannah's like kind of been not there. The fact that they had to cut to diary rooms and explain and have the cast explain them all afterwards, how it was relevant, bad sign.
Sign.
I want it to be funny.
I did like him coming in saying, "Good morning, idiots." Like that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And with Claire,
like name calling, so.
Claire saying that she's like Bigfoot, and I'm like, she's a tall woman. That sucks that you're calling her that, because I'm sure that she has had some self-conscious issues for her whole life growing up being a tall woman.
Yeah, so like call her more of like a klutz or something. The fact that she like fell down on the floor doing that impersonation, like you klutz or just not whatever. But yeah, I didn't think that was great either.
So need new Zingbot writers, but so Zingbot has Zingstagram that he has to deal with. He ends up shrinking them, and they're going to be stacking 21 mini cocktails. Kylan and Claire got to watch this, so I do like this element that they've added in this season is sometimes they get to watch those competitions when they're in, I guess, that other room. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But basically, it was like the same competition that Devon won last season, where it was like stacking tiny things with tweezers. And so it was like I knew what was happening. How was it for you watching? Did you have any idea who was going to win?
It was edited where I'm like, Alyssa wins this. I'm like, is this going to actually happen? But they did a good job with kind of hiding it in the diary rooms, because often you can tell like if someone's like almost in tears, like Sarah Beth last week. You're like, okay, you're not winning. But I love it. I love miniature everything. I absolutely loved this competition when Devon was playing it last year. I'm glad they brought it back. And boy, do they all have shaky hands.
I mean, I don't know how light. It depends on how light those tweezers are. If the tweezers are super light, it might be very
when the glasses are uneven, it was like, I was like, oh, they did them dirty. Like they made it hard for sure.
Hi, Love Phil. It. Phil says, I miss the original Zingbot better than the CBS Zingbot. What's the difference? What's the original Zingbot compared to the CBS?
I don't know. Is there an updated Zingbot?
I don't know what the difference is. Someone so tall has been missing in this game. Zing.
Oh, that's the Zing for Claire.
Oh, brutal. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't nice. I mean, she took it well, obviously, as she does. We learned that she takes things very well. But Alyssa does win this veto, and the worst case scenario happened for Tiffany. She was hoping for the best. She put all her chips in, hoping that she would get at her target, keep her closest ally, and have somebody that would be playing for them in the head of household competition next week. And she got none of that, just a lot of sour house guests that are mad at her. And she now has to put up her best friend. She's going to have to break it to Claire that she's going to have to do it. And this was a longer conversation, and we've talked about it a little bit, but it was just the saddest thing. I even cried again right now watching it, regardless of how Tiffany has played her game, regardless of, if you don't like and some of the things that she might have said about somebody. Like, this was a real human moment, and this is kind of what I live for in Big Brother, is when you see human connections and how people are really interacting. And honestly, it felt like I was watching or reading what's about Mice and Men. You know the scene where like they had to he had to shoot his brother because like he did something?
No, I don't know.
You never seen of Mice and Men? Okay. No. Anyways, it's just like a scene. What? It's John Malkovich, and I think he ended up maybe touching somebody inappropriately, and he's an adult, and so like he had to go and shoot his brother. And so he takes her out to a pasture, and this the whole scene before is him like talking about how much he loves him and stuff like that. But then he's like, turn away, look away, look away, and like then he shoots him. It's just like it's just the saddest scene that she's possibly
I've seen that reference in other things. But when she's talking to the devastation in Claire and that realization, it's like it was heartbreaking because Claire was like, you're my number one. Like, this is like, I'm yours. Like, this is it. This is so certain. Right. And I'm safe this week, no matter what. Right. And to have your best friend completely and utterly just let you down because, and then, explain it. And then you understand. And she's like, I can't even be angry because, this is something that she has to do. And I know it, but, that the hurt there, the pain was heartbreaking.
Of Mice and Men, John Malkovich, and I can't remember the other guy right now. It's a very sad movie, but it's good. It's a book first. Yeah, like I loved that moment though, because like it just shows how good of a person Claire is. And she's like, when she had her diary room after, and she's like, talks about what Black people in this game have experienced, and that she can't fully understand, but she understands the position that Tiffany is in this moment. And
yeah, but the thing that I was let down with Tiffany was the fact that she was still lying to her, and the fact that she was allowing her to have some hope, because she's like, no matter what, I'm still gonna fight, blah blah blah. And I feel like, if you're gonna rip that Band-Aid off, you need to lay it all out and be like, you are going home, Claire. Like, just be like this. Don't give up. I will try to do what I can too, but like, you're going home.
To be fair, what she said that they didn't show, she's just kind of like, listen, like I can't be doing this on my own hand, but if you are able to convince them, like I support that decision. You know what I mean? Like, and so she has been kind of it's in support of potentially if she could sway them. I just like I don't think though that Claire would want to go out not fighting. So
yeah, I'm not saying don't fight. I'm just saying it seemed like what I was watching is that she was giving her some false hope. And that I was like, oof.
Phil says Claire leaves looking good. What an incredible and different season. Absolutely. And I think that how Claire is handling this is better than her going out next week at the hands of Xavier. You know what I mean? Like, I think that
unless Claire won HOH, which again, if you gave her the opportunity to win veto this time, she might have been able to do that for you, Tiffany.
Maybe, but just like if the 6 were to get to the 6 and she didn't leave this week, she left next week, I think that this is more of a memorable moment that will go down in history of Big Brother, of like, have you seen that moment where they had to break it to Claire? Like, I think that having to play a role in the season, since it wasn't really in the cards for you to necessarily win with the cookout in play, I would rather go out like in this epic fashion for my friend, for the cause, like having to be a casualty of a movement. Like, I think it's better than her, going out next week. So
yeah, I as ruthless as I say am, I would be doing what's best for my game, and yet I do think that, I mean, I would have made other moves than Tiffany, but I do think at this point in that moment, making sure that Claire is up is what's best for Tiffany's game.
Yeah. Well, you think Claire leaving now is best for Tiffany's game?
No, I'm saying like I would have made other choices. I wouldn't have won HOH. I would have given her the opportunity to win veto. I would have made other choices for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying at that moment, and like with the renoms, I wouldn't have gone against the cause. I wouldn't have gone against the entire cookout. I'm like, that is her best option, is just minimizing like damage control, is making one person potentially pissed off at you, even though she's not right now. but potentially pissed off at you, rather than making like 4 or 5 people pissed off at you. So.
Well, and that's why she didn't tell her the full truth, is because they, for like hours, were drilling into her. She can't say the truth. She can't say the truth. Ozza was saying, going to be like, can we just tell her the truth? And he's like, no, hard no, 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 no. And Hannah's like, can we just say the truth? No, no, no. So in so much that now,
how pissed are you gonna be if like someone wins and Alyssa's on on the block, and then they decide to tell Alyssa the truth? Like if Xavier decides to tell
I think
Alyssa.
they both. Well, no, I think that they should tell both of them.
I know, but I'm saying, what if it happened? Like, what if Xavier's the one who's like, okay, well, now let's do it instead
I think they should have told them like this whole week.
I mean, it's a double eviction, so probably won't happen. It's all going to happen really quick. So,
so yeah, basically that's all that happened in the episode. Tiffany does end up putting Claire on the block. And you didn't get to see this, but before the veto, Tiffany does make a last-ditch effort to see if she can get Alyssa to put save Xavier with the veto. Just give it a shot. And also, Alyssa tried to actually put in some work to get Claire be the one that's going to be the renom. And so now Alyssa thinks that it was because of her conversation with Tiffany is the reason why Claire is on the block. So Alyssa's going around like, oh my God, I'm so good at I can't believe that I was able to convince Tiffany to put up her closest ally on the block. I can't believe this. And so her dimness is shining through.
And I will say though, if Claire ends up going this week, there will be no white people in the house. And
Alyssa has said this, and she's like, I'm half white. I'm not next, right? You're getting everything, and you get nothing. But yes, this will be the first time that is going to be 7 POC in the final 7. This will never happen again, I don't think.
Yeah. Incredible.
Never again. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for hanging out, Jonathan. Thanks for allowing me to vent. I'm sorry that I was so angry.
I'll just get you like a pillow of his face that you can just tear apart and just.
I feel better now, though. I got it. I got most of it out.
Until don't watch the live feed.
Well, because the reason why I guess I was so mad is because I had to watch them to do an update, and so I watched them closely all day and took notes, and it just was like. And then just seeing anything that popped up and it's his name, I'm like, ah. So yeah, it just happens because I was covering it that I was paying close attention. Phil says, I'm happy and sad that Chantele is so amped up. She was on Sunday. I was really on fire on Sunday. Maybe because it was funny. I was really angry on Sunday. This is like a 4. I was like a 10 on Sunday.
Well, especially because they're not, and you're saying they're showing it a different way. They're not showing it as
not
it.
Fully. What they've showed, just imagine that for 6 days straight, right?
Minority.
So this is a minority in the BB house. When the cosplays are over, she's probably, to be fair, people. She looks like she's POC to me. And I don't know if she has a white passing last name. I can't remember what her last name is.
I don't think it is. I think I looked it up because I was like, because initially I was like, what are you? What's your background? And
she said she's Puerto Rican.
And yeah, her one parent is. So yeah, and I think it was her last name is, not white.
I agree. Yeah. Can't remember, but I agree. But thank you, Jonathan. I'm going to go and watch the rest of the challenge. And
watch the challenge.
You want to come on and talk with us? Michelle can't be here. Do you want to come hang out in an hour?
I'm probably working out, but I'm going to try to watch it. I'm going to try to watch it. We'll see if I have time. Maybe.
Oaks Stokes. Well, thanks for everybody in the chat room listening to me rant here today. If you're a Xavier lover, I'm sorry. I don't want to yuck your yum. He just was really distasteful for me this week. We'll see if he'll be able to redeem himself in my eyes. But at this point, he's my least favorite house guest for a long time. I haven't felt this way about somebody. But hopefully things will change. Maybe this is, Tiffany, how the mighty have fallen, and she will get her redemption arc and be able to play optimally, because I do feel as though she's been handcuffed to getting the cookout to 6, and she's been doing a lot of things that have been completely not beneficial for her game. And so maybe she will win that power veto. Maybe then she wins the next head of household and she can maybe set herself up better. The fact that she has been so shitty, a lot of people have been like, ooh, well, maybe we should take her to the end, because there's no way she could win now. And I still think that she could beat anybody, even though she's had a couple of bad weeks. And so I'm hoping that that will bode well for her. It's like, why am I taking out Tiffany? She's not even good.
Yeah, but like, if you're gonna drag someone who you don't think is gonna win, I would absolutely. There's a few other options in the house.
Well, Claire's been saying things like, well, if you take Derek F to the end, that's who I'm voting for, because like that's who needs to go. And so it could be one of those situations where people are like pissed off that like you didn't take Derek F out. Let's give him the win because like he's taking my spot. Let's get him the win then. You didn't listen to me. I'm going to give him the win. So
bitter jury, who knows? We'll see what happens.
I don't think they're going to be bitter, but it's going to be very... Lopez. Oh yeah. So she's not hiding anything from the cops. Maybe her driver's license. Anyways, I love you, Jonathan. Thanks for bearing with me. And I love everybody here in the chat. Bean, Phil, Natalie, Anna. Did I miss anybody? Well, if I did, we'll be... Oh, Cameron, thank you all for being here. Obviously, we love hanging out and chatting with you, even if we're mad. I want to feel things. So the fact that I'm feeling stuff going on in the show is good, right? Yeah. This is good. This means it's a good season. Like, I'm going from like loving somebody to hating them. That like
they yucked your yum, and that's okay.
Exactly. So subscribe so you can hang out and chat with us in the future. If you want to go live with us in like an hour to talk about the challenge, we will be there, Fanta and I. And leave a comment as to whether or not you're on the same page as me. Are you into Xavier more? Or are you out of Xavier? Is he actually an ex, a repellent? No more. Mm-hmm. I want him gone next. Oh my God, it would be such just desserts if he's gone next week. Anyways, I don't want to dream of anything because I never get what I want. So we'll just say sayonara, and I'm going to hope that, expect Tiffany to go home, and then maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Bye.